All right, we're live stream. I see that, so that's good. Is that you, Ryan, who does that, or is that Howie?
I'm doing it right now.
Okay, and then who puts it on Spring Nuts Live?
Me.
Okay, well, why don't we go ahead?
I'm going to share it to the pages and then off we go.
And Tom, you don't see the comments that come up, but we see them. So if there's a good question or something, we'll ask it from there.
Great, great.
All right.
All right, we are off and running. We are on both pages. We are good to go. Is
Okay.
Howie here?
Do you see me or no?
Yes,
Brian, you don't see me?
No, you're good. You're good.
you're good.
Good,
We're
okay.
We're good. We're ready to go.
Okay. Well, I want to welcome everyone to another fantastic episode of the Spring Nut Cafe. And this one's a real honor for all of us. I can't tell you how happy we are to have this wonderful gentleman on our podcast. This is, like I said, an honor and a pleasure. Everyone knows him. We watch his films all the time. He is part of our community, even if he doesn't want to be. But he is the one and only Thom Zimny, and I want to welcome him to the Spring Nut Cafe.
Thank you. Nice to be here, guys, and great to connect. Thank you for asking me.
So I don't have to tell you, just to give you everybody a heads up, we have Ryan Hilligoss at the helm running the show for us. We have Mr. Stan Goldstein, the pride of Ocean Grove, here at the helm, and Julie will be joining us at one point. I think she'll just pop in and we'll get her in. But we wanted to start on time today. We know everyone's freezing out there here in New York. So, but we're gonna heat you up. So, with no further ado, I hand it over to Ryan.
Thom, thank you for doing this, taking the time.
Sure.
We know you're a busy person with all the different projects you have going on with Bruce and everything else that you do. We appreciate you taking the time to do this. So it's truly a pleasure to have you on here.
Thank you.
Just real quick before we get into things, just kudos on the new documentary at the archives. It was fantastic. I got a sneak peek as
Good.
part of the Spring Nuts on the Friday before it opened, and it literally made me jump out of my seat. So it was incredibly well done, as usual.
Well, thank you. That one was such a special experience. The museum itself is just amazing, and to be asked to make a film that everyone who buys a ticket will start their journey at the museum with that film. It's a real big honor for me. So, and growing up in New Jersey and loving Bruce's music from an early age, this was just something I couldn't dream. The museum and the work Bob Santelli and Eileen Chapman and the details and the beauty of the building itself, it's just a great, remarkable thing to be part of. And the film has a lot of moments that over the years with John Landau, he's had conversations with me about beautiful performances, the Sam and Dave performance that's in the film, or sometimes just musical references. In some ways, it was a great chance to explore some of the things I learned from those two guys over the years, and also just to be part of Bruce's story, be part of the storytelling that tells Bruce's life is once again a great honor.
You just did a great job of melding like all the different components, and it feeds right into what the museum is about. It's not about him. He's a link in a chain, as he says. You melded Sam and Dave and Elvis and James Brown and Bob Dylan and like all my, Sister Rosetta Tharpe. You just melded it all together, and you could clearly see that yes, he is just the link in a chain. Like there's all these different pieces that we see him doing on stage that came from all these different people that he came from. So it's just a great representation.
Thank you. I had a great team with me. I had Eric Flanagan, who is well known as a writer in the Springsteen community. He had worked with me on it, and Adrian Gerard, who's been with me for a long time and on a lot of the docs as a producer. And So I ended up in Sam Shapiro, the editor. I ended up with a great small team, and then also just once again getting a lot of the help from Eileen and Bob and John and Bruce that gave me access to things. There's one Bruce photograph that we came across of Bruce in Asbury that's in this film that I just found recently. I believe it's from 1970, and there was just great discoveries, and the conversations that I had with Bruce and about the influences were it was really important to get across the museum's theme, and it's a very short, it's 17 minutes, so it was a unique journey to make something so tight and get so much information across, and you want to make it entertaining.
I've been volunteering at the center, Tom, and it's 25 minutes long. So we
Oh yeah, sorry.
one of
25.
us introduces the film, and there's two reactions always at the end of the film. People are clapping, and there's tears in people's eyes. And as they
Wow.
exit the theater, everyone just goes, "That was wonderful." So kudos, everybody loved it. It's very, very good.
It's great to hear, and I'll be going back in September just to sneak in and just take it in again. The theater itself is really great, and I hope in the future to be able to do screenings there of Bruce material, because the theater is an Atmos theater, and the sound and the projection is just top quality. So you really feel like the sense of his music.
Yeah.
Tom, before we get into kind of go back, I don't want to get back behind the curtains too much, but as far as the record store that's in the film, was that filmed in the record store that's on the boardwalk, or is that a different design?
It wasn't the record store on the boardwalk. It's based on my notes mentally from all the adolescent record stores, one being on Arnold Avenue, one being Jack's.
Yeah.
It's all images I've collected over the years. So it was an art designed record store that I wanted to try to get that feeling that has the details of the records and the vast amount, but it was all art directed and created. Same thing with the diner. The diner is really based on a lot of my memories of OB Diner and Freehold Diner, and those details of the jukebox and sitting there and being 16 years old and popping in quarters to listen to Bruce.
Yeah.
So a lot of it comes from my experience growing up at the Jersey Shore. I think Howie's got a. I think Howie, you got it. We got a shot.
I
Good.
think he's, yeah.
You got a good shot. All right.
Yeah.
Tom, the one thing in the diner scene was like the cup of coffee's next to him. I'm like, he doesn't drink coffee. He likes the smell of coffee, but he doesn't drink coffee.
Yeah, there's some things you have to take a license. There's a beautiful thing about diners in America and coffee. So I was leaning into that nostalgia. Same thing with the jukebox. The jukebox represents so much of the history of American music, and I wanted this feeling that you got in the car with Bruce and you drove around Asbury, and he told you this story about what American music means to him, and that was what I was chasing. So I got access to the car, and the car became a character for me. It's such an important car, and it's such an important part of his identity and journey that I really, and it's also a love letter to New Jersey itself. The way I went to the details of filming it and thinking about it and finding out who was playing and surprising him with the marquee. I had him step in there and he saw it for the first time. So the marquee was all the bands that he saw in his youth in Asbury. So I love these films, and it's a great honor. And you dip into your own history, and you also carry the history of what you guys carry, which is the history of East Street, and you try to tap into that.
I'm glad you brought up the car because it was a character in the short film. Just like I'm a huge Elvis fan. I've had a chance to talk to you a couple times about The Searcher, which is fantastic for anybody that's watching at home. If you're an Elvis fan, if you just like music in general, great documentary, very well done, two-part series on HBO. But the bicycle, you opened The Searcher with a picture of Elvis as a 12-year-old kid on a bicycle, black and white picture, and then it jumps to the TV in the music room at Graceland playing the '68 special, and then there's a projector downstairs in the in the TCB room, the TV
Mhm.
room. But then you end it with that bike, Rusty, is hanging in the smokehouse behind Graceland. And it was like that bike wove its way through the whole movie and on the journey of Elvis. And so when you brought up when you used that kind of the same idea in with the car with Bruce, it's central to the story of Bruce and New Jersey and his music.
It's a great comparison, and thank you. It's like the bicycle and Elvis the Searcher was they didn't know that it was the bike for Elvis. I just went there on a tour by myself, a special tour, because I was going to be filming there. And that bike just was against the wall. And I looked at it and it reminded me of this moment of Citizen Kane where the sled is left behind. And I asked them, what's this bike? And they said, we have no idea. It's just been there forever. And I got obsessed with it. And I traced photographs and then measured the tires and did the research and figured out it was the bike. And out of all the things that Elvis lost, the bike survived. And I thought it was a beautiful metaphor. And in a weird way, you go into these films sometimes and you're not quite sure why you're chasing it. And I knew that the car, the Corvette for me was that kind of detail where it was important to get, and it would make sense as the film was progressing. Sometimes you have to just trust your gut and not try to be too logical.
All right, Julie's here. Julie, I'm going to let Julie in. Thom, just so you know what's going on. All right, Thom, if you can, for those watching that don't necessarily know your background, if you can just kind of give us a little bit of a background on yourself and, the usual biographical items.
Sure. I mean, I grew up in the great state of New Jersey in Point Pleasant, and I always had an interest in film and had a deep love of music. I've talked about this before, where I'm dyslexic, and I felt like music was really speaking to me in a different way, and then would just really obsess over films and watch them. And way before VCRs came out, I would record the audio of them and save it and play it. So I've always been connected to the visual medium of film and the sonic qualities of music. And I chased that into photography and theater, and then landed in film. So film has always been an important thing. And I started as an editor, and I studied at the School of Visual Arts in New York City. And I've lived in New York over 35 years, and went from editing, and I landed in the space of working with Bruce and John Landau with Live in New York. And Live in New York was my first job in the Springsteen world. And shortly after that, I started working on Born to Run, the documentary. And very traditional in the Bruce space, it was something that I just got to be part of and kept working, and never really thought, well, wait a minute, I'm now segueing into directing. Made the whole film and shared it with them, and by the end of it, I realized, well, I directed this, and this has been a fantastic experience, and I haven't looked back. I still cut with Bruce, Bruce's projects, but that was the beginning of my directing, was the documentary Born to Run. And I've been since, chasing stories that I've been connected to, and lives, and looking at the artists' lives, like Sylvester Stallone. I've made a documentary for Netflix on him. Willie Nelson, I did a film on Willie Nelson with Oren Moverman that was 4 parts. And I made a film on Johnny Cash. All these are great stories. And also they have deep music for me that I connect to, and I also love to explore their arc, their journey. And we've talked about Elvis, and that was also the start of this love of film and music. And I've also been at a place where I've always enjoyed the chasing unseen footage or unheard sounds, like whether they're been bootlegged or uh, the offbeat moments that are captured in stills or film. They present a side to an artist sometimes that you just don't get. So there's a part of me that's an archivist too. And one of the big things was that Bruce acquired an archive, and I was able to work with that. And I was essential in uh, using Barry Rebo shot this footage, and it's been essential in making these films. It's been a great thing. It's helped me tell these stories, and having that as a tool as a filmmaker has been really important. And that's the part of me that's also an archivist that loves chasing, a VHS tape from 1990 or whatever
So
it
as
may be.
part of that, I've been fortunate to see some of the footage from the archive uh, e- events. Great stuff, fantastic stuff. That is like, why was anybody even recording this stuff at the time? But that begs the question about the No Nukes concert. We'd always heard about there being footage. The audio was out there. So if you can kind of explain where, the footage and how you were able to put all of that together.
Um, I'm forgetting the gentleman's name, but someone reached out to me and said they had No Nukes footage and I should come by their edit room. And he had worked on the original film. And I stopped by his studio in Manhattan, and I saw this great footage. And I went back to John and Bruce and said, "This is amazing. Let's just get this transferred." And there, I think it was tied up legally for a while with the studio, and you couldn't do anything with it. And at the time, we took it to the highest transfer and color correct that we could do, and then it stayed around for a few years, and then I had a conversation with John, and he said to me, let's build this. Let's just see what's there. And I went through all the footage and built that concert,
Hmm.
and the first I without repeating songs, I took and knowing what came out in the movie, I really studied what came out in the movie and really tried to um, make it a different experience. So the different angles were used and different. I didn't want to replicate the songs that were released already. And I also, by going through the dailies, I was able to, the raw footage, I was able to really explore the beauty of this concert. And one night had something really special, and then the next night was, so I tried to build it in a way that I showed the fan as much as possible without repeating songs, and also could make it a seamless feeling that you could watch it straight through. And I didn't, worry about the idea of continuity. I just went for the emotional arc.
It was just so well done and stitched together, as a younger fan, that I wasn't, old enough to have lived through that period of time just for the historical record, but for somebody like me that's heard about this concert and how great they were during Darkness and the River, to see that just pure raw energy and exuberance and the power and Clarence and Bruce interacting and everything, it was just incredible to actually witness.
It's such a great feeling to watch that stuff sometimes silent,
Hmm.
and you're just thinking, oh my God, I hope there's another angle here that, and you have to realize it's silent, and there was no slate information. I was syncing it up by eye. So you look at it and you go, oh wait, Clarence looks like he's doing something from Rosalita,
Hmm.
just by the way he's playing. And then you figure out the musical moment, and you have to watch with your eyes and sync it up. And then you get another camera angle, and sometimes it'll be 30 seconds. They shoot a little bit, and you're like, what is that? And you figure out, oh, that's the second part of Rosalita. It's just in this moment. So then you start to piece it together. So it's a great little mystery. What do we have? And when you start to watch that stuff silent, you can just feel the energy. And then you get the mix from Bob Clearmountain. and things take a whole other level.
In the at the center, the in concert room has some great footage, and you talk about discovering things. I had bootlegs for years and stuff, and I saw some things like A Hungry Heart from 1985 from Slane Castle and Jungle Land from the Schaefer Music Festival in 1974. Wow. Thank you. More of that, please. Thank you. Thank you. That is awesome.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. And I gave them that selection, and a lot of it I knew was Holy Grail. And what a time it is to be a fan of American music and Bruce's music, and get a chance to see those kind of clips from Bruce, but also walk through the museum and get this amazing education in American music. The items that they have there are so special. I wanted these film clips of Bruce to be as important at that level. So I was really trying to honor the work that the museum has done. And I didn't want to repeat something that was, just out there, like a music video of sorts.
Right.
So I'm really glad you liked it, and I'm glad you
Yeah.
you recognize those details.
Oh,
Schaefer
yeah.
music.
So
Really
I wanted to tell you like one story that, so, we were honored that, and I think you know this, that, the Spring Nut Group, we had our Serenade weekend, a week before the archives officially opened. And we've been talking with, Bob Santelli and Eileen Chapman and Melissa, Kozlowski about doing, before they went public, we would come to the archives and and see the venue and the films and whatnot. And I happened to be in the parking lot with Julie. We were coming. There was a long line. Everyone was waiting to get in the first day, and it was a 2-day event. It was Friday. They did it Friday, and they did it again on Monday. And on Friday, there was a huge line. You would think it was a Springsteen show. I mean, and Stan was on that line, so he can attest. And then Bob Santelli met us in the parking lot, and he happened to be on the phone with you. Actually, it was funny. It was just coincidentally he happened to be on, because I only know that because he said, "Hey Bob, because hey Thom, I got the Spring Nuts here, and we're gonna see this, the film, and I think you must have told him, oh, let me know how it goes, whatever."
Yeah.
So, long story short, then we see the film, and I'm telling you, there was like literally there were grown men crying in the film, and
Wow.
and then they
Beautiful.
actually gave it a standing ovation
Wow.
when it was ended, and it was the first time anyone have seen it. It was the very, very, very first time, and I remember telling Ryan that I said, "You're gonna love this," because he was gonna see it on Monday, and I said, "You're gonna love this because the Elvis references and all the American. It wasn't just about Bruce; it was the American music itself. It was so well done." And even when I saw it the second time, because I came back on Monday to greet the other people that were gonna see it. It's like you can't get enough. And I think the one thing that I remember saying I think, oh, that's when I saw it and I saw you. I said it wasn't long enough. It's like we could have sat there for 2 hours and it wouldn't have been longer. That's how beautiful it was. And that was the first thing I wanted you to know, how well received it was that day.
I love
Everyone loved it.
Well, it's a great honor, and I thank everyone in the group. And just, I remember talking to Bob, and that was the ultimate test if you guys connected to it. Scary. It's
Oh, well.
scary. 'Cause I don't I have obviously Dan and Bruce and John. I don't want to disappoint anybody, but I also wear the hat of a fan. I'm a filmmaker, and I'm in this world, and I'm really grateful for that. But I also never let go of being a fan, and that's really important to make these films and think about, like, what has been shown and what is different and what is unique, and collaborating with John and Bruce, I've gotten a lot of trust, so that's a huge thing. This film you know, there's such great this film at the museum. There's just such great moments of him just remembering things spontaneously, just going into, oh, the Rolling Stones, I didn't see them. I wish I did. You know, just
Couldn't afford it.
yeah, he
Yeah.
couldn't afford it. And that kind of chance to do a documentary that way, and that kind of feeling of I'm with Bruce having a conversation. I know how important that is for the fan, and I just know how important it is for the sense of the storytelling, because I didn't want a commentator. I didn't want the voiceover of somebody that we didn't know going through and saying Bruce Springsteen started and blah, blah. You know, it's I wanted you to feel like very from the very beginning that you were jumping in the car with him and driving around Jersey.
Oh, well, his narration was phenomenal as usual, but you captured him as a fan, and that was what I think that's what everyone loved about it, is that we got to see that part of him as a fan, like the way we are with him. We got to see him with his heroes and his music, you know, upbringing, and I thought the jukebox was phenomenal. I mean, just it brought us back to a time where it's like, you know, it's a happy time, and everyone just was, you know, we really just came out with a great euphoria and a great, you know, we were all smiling, and some of us wanted to go see it again and not see the rest of you know, the thing, but you know, that's a different thing. The only other thing
It's a
I
lot
wanted
of
to
information. Yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I said there's a lot of information. It's a great film to return to that way, just to take in his world.
And then, so the other thing I wanted to bring up, and I'm going to hand it back over to Ryan, is, and you know, because for me, the greatest thing for me and Bruce is, and watching these films has always been for me the process on how he's done things, and that's why I really, really loved Letter to You, because I can only imagine what it was like to be a fly on a wall for those sessions. And I loved watching the process, watching him come with the music, figuring it all out, doing the engine, you know, where this should go, and writing the songs and whatnot. And I was just curious for you filming that, you know, and bringing the band together. What was it like? You know, what was the whole process like of filming Letter to You?
Letter to You was an incredible experience because you're at the studio in New Jersey. The guys arrive. There's just Kevin and Matt, the drum tech, and I have a few cameras there of guys who've worked with me over the years, and John Landau, and that's it. And Bruce's relative. And in that moment, you see Bruce do something that I've seen in archival footage, which is he opens up a notebook of songs. The band comes around in a circle. It's shown in the film, these details, but to witness it, it's incredible because the band has never heard the song. He plays it in real time in front of him. He played Letter to You on acoustic guitar, and the band sits there and they scribble a few notes for musical references. It looks like nothing. The notes themselves. They literally go over it in 10 minutes. And then this magical thing that happens that I wanted the film to convey, which is Bruce and the band take on this song that's never been in the universe. You've never heard it before. And by the end of it, you're singing along mentally. And you're hearing the beauty of the players. You're watching them work out the details. You're seeing the inside creative process that goes on in the studio. And I've had some of it with older films like the Born to Run film, where it was the archival footage and you would see the band do that. And then in this strange way, sometimes you look at Letter to You and you watch the Born to Run film, and it's exactly the same. There's the same gestures. John and Bruce together, in the Darkness film especially, there's a beauty in that friendship and that brotherhood that you see in that footage, and that's something I wanted to capture. And this film is like the Letter to You is one of my favorite experiences because I also got to explore, you know, just expanding. I think the voiceover and how to tell that story in this way that it was part of a series of films. I think Springsteen on Broadway, Western Star, and Letter to You are linked in some ways, which is
Absolutely.
that exploration, of time, our place, our loved ones, and in each one of those films as a director, I got to explore visually how to tell it differently. Western Stars was this barn, this environment, the beauty of Bruce in the desert reflecting, and the love of Patty and his life and just the past and some of the things that universally hold us back. That voiceover is really powerful, and in the desert imagery was a whole other direction. It's a saturated color. Then you get to Letter to You, and it's the reverse. It's snow. It was pre-COVID. You could feel the cold. They're inside, and it's this God's POV of God view of the woods, and it just took on a whole other life. And I explored telling that story in a different way. So each one of these has been a great challenge, and John and Bruce are essential to my dialogue and in figuring out these things and the support that they give me, especially with Letter to You, because I had full access. I was there for every bit of the recording.
Thom, was it your idea to do it in black and white, Letter to You, or?
Well, yeah, it was. I was sitting outside I was sitting outside and I was at Bruce's house and he had called me over and I came by and we were sitting outside and it was cold. It was a gray Jersey day. And sometimes you don't know why, but you see something, you feel it. And he said, let's have you drop by. I'm going to get the guys to come in and record a few songs. That was it.
Wow.
And we sat there. And one of the first things I remember filming was him saying, Pam had called, and his sister Pam, and he said, "It's snowing outside. It's snowing. Can you believe it?" And he said it with such joy, and I started to think about the power of snow and the imagery of snow, and how there's still excitement, even when you're whatever age you are, there's something exciting about the first fall of snow. And I started to think about that, and I started to look at images of it, and I started to see the film in black and white. And I started to do a little bit of sketching, which is I took footage in black and white. I took snow footage and made it black and white and started to cut with it. And that's my sketchbook. And that's how the tonal qualities of it match an emotional feeling. But then as soon as I heard the songs, I knew that it worked perfectly for the reflective tone. The details of George, the details in Bruce's writing. But the big thing was the archive was full, rich color, because memory is like Super 8. It's Kodachrome. You think about the Jersey Shore early bands, your mind goes to the bright summer colors. So I wanted these two worlds. And there's something beautiful about black and white. I recently did something with Nebraska, where I filmed Bruce do the full album of Nebraska, and that was a great moment. It was a totally different tonal quality and how we got the black and white, but I had a great team that helped me with that.
Thom, one of the things I love about your films, and whether it's the Elvis movie or Johnny Cash or Willie, you bookend it. You start in one place, you end it kind of in the same place. It's about the journey in between those 2 points in time. It's like the two time, the year of your birth and the birth of your death, that dash in between. That journey is the dash. The thing I loved about Letter to You was the guitar with the speaker in it. Because earlier in the film, Bruce and Stevie are talking about the guitar. And do you remember that one piece of crap that we had that had the speaker in the guitar? Oh, yeah, I remember that. Sure enough, after the movie's over, there he is on the porch with his cousin or whoever it was playing one of those guitars. I was like, oh my God. So did somebody go find that because of that very reason? Did he have one?
No, I actually gave that to him as a gift. for his birthday.
Wow.
And I had heard in conversation that he had owned the guitar and it had this built-in speaker. And it was just a little bit of information that I got. And I I found it, and the great Kevin Buell helped me get it fixed up a little bit. And I gave it to him, and it was in the studio. And I never said a word about it. And then there was this moment with Steven that's in the film where he picks it up and he goes, like, what is this? And he goes, oh, this is that guitar, a built-in speaker. And Bruce had the idea to end the film playing it, which was a full circle.
Wow.
But I'm really grateful because the magic of eBay found that. And I traced it, and I had the case, and it has its own little mystery. I've had a chance to be around some guitars, and they have a presence. I worked on Willie Nelson's film. I got to be around and hold Trigger. Johnny Cash, I was holding his black Gibson, I guess it is, the Rick Rubin sessions. Elvis, I was holding the, and I don't play guitar, but I was holding the Elvis acoustic guitar that's in the film. So, and of course the telly of Born to Run. So I've had this great, and super excited when you come together, because they're like a person. They are a character, and they hold an energy. And I felt like this electric guitar from Letter to You has that same kind of power.
With Letter to You, a question for you is, it plays on many different levels. There's obviously many levels, textures to it. There's the in-studio recordings, but then the little vignettes, spoken words that he came up with, that he's doing throughout the film. He's narrating part of it. The outro is just incredibly beautiful. Go to the light falls at your feet while you're buttering your toast. That's where you find your grace. That whole thing. Where did that come from? Did he have that idea of doing the vignettes?
Yeah, well, the vignettes were a conversation that we had. And it's not a long conversation. It was like, maybe I'll send you some writing and put them between the songs and see how it feels. And then very late at night, I get a text, and I remember cutting this. I started editing it just as the world shut down with COVID. So I was literally cutting it in my apartment. The only person in the room, and I would cut all night, and just was so obsessed with this film and shut off the world in some ways, and got through COVID by building this. And he would send me a voiceover, and I would load it in to the computer and hit play and just sit there, because it was like, what images can I put to this? It was always so powerful, the voiceover. Where do I begin? And then you get into this meditative space that you're not really even thinking. You're in the zone. And what I mean by that is that the words hit you so much, and the writing is so powerful, that you step into looking at the words, but also your own life. And you kind of go into a little bit of a dream state where all of a sudden you're not thinking about it, and you're pulling footage down that's snow falling. And you look at it and you go, wow, that's like time passing. And that works with Bruce saying he's lost all these people in his life. And then all of a sudden you start to go, I got that great shot of Danny in No Nukes. It's an outtake. I mean, where is that? I remember that. Your brain starts to just flash on details. And that's the magic of editing. You start to pull together a language, and it happens best in this, what I would say, dream state. You're in it, you're feeling the music, you're hearing the voiceover, and your brain is literally conjuring up images that you start to throw against this, and you start to put it. So it's no longer a barn with snow covered and snow occasionally falling down on it. It's this great analogy of time and of life passing. But you don't shoot it that way. You shoot it and you go, that's an interesting shot. Let's shoot the barn. You get back and you realize, oh, actually the snow was falling slowly. That's such a lonely image, such a sad image. It's time passing. It's how we lose people in our lives. You know, you have to stay open to the universe and really, you know, like you pretend to have control when you're directing these films, but things are being thrown at you. And if you're really smart, after a while, you acknowledge, I only have so much control. I can shoot the bar. I think it's this, but it gets to the edit room and the film gods are going to make something else. That's the way I work, and that's the way I think along lines with the film, with Bruce especially. That I'm observing and taking in and absorbing. Like Road Diary had that exact experience where I would look at the crowd and come back to the edit room, and that young girl looking up at Bruce, that's a key moment. And it's got to go on. That song, that line, that person connecting that way, that's really important. I'm not going to forget that. And you look at the footage and you start to, I look at everything in real time. And I listen to everything in real time, because the voice of Bruce or interviews is music. The E Street Band is like music itself, them telling stories. So you really want to connect to the musicality of these voices and then put together a story that's both new and then sometimes familiar with the E Street history.
I remember a great story you told to Dave Marsh on E Street Nation one day about putting Dream Baby Dream together. And he had the idea of doing a video and he wanted to be the crowd. And what you said that day just truly blew my mind, in the fact that he was able to remember very specific shows, very specific people. We were in Sweden on night 2, and there was this one girl on the front rail, and she was doing this, or there was this couple. The fact that he was able to remember those very specific people and the images that he wanted to put out there was just incredible to me.
You know, Dream Baby Dream, there was a shot of a young boy who gets a guitar. And he's a great fan, and he ended up being in Hunter Invisible Game. That's the young boy.
Wow. I didn't know.
Wow.
Wow, that's trivia.
Gowdy's son, yes.
Yeah. I was not going to say his name, but yeah, because but he's a great guy and it's a great family, and I remember making Hunt Invisible Game, and it was like 2 days before shooting, and I was looking at casting for this young boy, and he said, "Oh, I know who we should get," and you know, we had to struggle and figure out a way of getting a hold of him. You know, so, but he remembered him from the audience. He remembered the contact. He remembered the connection that he had, and he turned out to be a perfect choice in casting for that video, which was a whole other different direction of filmmaking and storytelling for us. And it's the second thing that we shared a credit, because we were so deep in it together. I was like, Bruce, this is ours together in a way that's different than the other films, and that I love. Western Stars was the same thing, where I was cutting Western Stars at the studio with the amazing Ron and Yellow around and Rob LeBret, and I was in a separate little room, and I would be editing, and Bruce would pop in and sit down quietly, and I'd say hi, and he'd say hi, and that was it. And I'd be working, and he'd be watching what I was doing and playing, and he was figuring out the score. And then he'd leave the room, and I would hear music coming out of the studio down the hall. And sure enough, an hour and a half later, he had a temp track. He's like, "You want to try this during that scene that you were working on?"
Wow.
Wow.
That's the level that we were collaborating. And that was like an amazing experience to have the trust to tell that story with him, and also to be in the space collaborating that way. And Sonic, he brought so much to that. And Ron and Yellow too, amazing artist. He composed the score for my Willie Nelson doc. And Ron did all the score for with Bruce on Letter to You and the other films and Western Stars.
Was the
Thom, can we
barn?
go? Oh, sorry, Stan.
Okay,
Sorry.
just
Go ahead.
the idea for the barn in Western Stars, was that Bruce's idea from the start that he wanted to do it in there? And what
We
challenges
looked,
did that bring to you?
it was something that it was definitely Bruce's influence to use that barn, and we looked at different places, and I think we looked at Asbury at one point. The challenges that were brought was had a crane in there, and
Mhm.
and the unsung hero to a lot of this stuff that anything I'm making with film is George Travis,
Mhm.
because he's not only a producer, but he's incredibly supportive, and he, with the barn, I wanted to bring a crane in, and he figured out a way of bringing it into the side of the barn and setting it up. So sometimes technically it's really challenging because I wanted that barn to be a character, much like Elvis, that film had the Graceland as a character, or Letter to You, the snow was a character. The barn itself was a place, and I had a great art director, Chris Moran, on that, and made cinematographer Joe DeSalvo, and it was one of my favorite experiences. I remember sitting next to John when I was directing it live, and we looked at each other, and he was just thrilled because it looked beautiful, and the sound of the performance was amazing. That barn has a special, much like the guitars that I talked about, it has a special ambience and presence. It's a soul in there. So just I literally invited 10 people just to sit in the space, and they were family and friends and things like that. But it was a quiet little audience, and we do a couple of takes, and this magical thing was captured that day that you just hope to get. That the writing of that and the music of that is just really, really great and powerful. It's an album I go to a lot.
Thom, I have to thank you personally for that. The first time I listened to Western Stars, and people can be upset with me that are watching this, when I listened to the album, I was just like, and I like country music, I like Western music. It wasn't a dig on the music. I was just like, okay, this was interesting. But then when I saw the movie and seeing the orchestra and all the musicians and everything that was going on, it just brought it to a whole different appreciation for me. So without that movie, I think Western Stars is in my top 10 of his entire catalog, which is saying a
Well,
lot. But without that
that's great.
film, I don't think I would have gotten to that point. So it really helped me understand what was going on.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm so glad to hear you connect that way. And I think the power of that performance for me, not only because of the arrangements with Ron and Yellow, but just to see him visually take on the writing and see his face, it's just it translates the power of those characters. Especially the song Western Stars itself is just, he really stepped to the shoes of those characters. Chasing Wild Horses is one of my favorite film moments. When you're cutting these
Absolutely.
things, you get so caught up in it, and if you get chills when you do a playback of something you edited, you're in the right space. And the most powerful thing that John Landau gave me early on, and I've talked about this many, many times, but I still go to it every time he says the most powerful thing you have in your toolbox is Bruce's expression, his eyes, and to follow that. And with all these films, it's a key thing for me because he does step deep into the songs, and you feel that he's living these words and the characters.
Someone
Can we?
mentioned,
Sorry, sorry, Hal.
it's okay. Someone mentioned, Bev Stevenson mentioned it's a good point. Is she was saying that even in the end when you captured the person cleaning up the barn, it was also powerful. Me and you don't realize it at the time, but these are all characters and these are all important pieces just as much as the performance and the actual music. So yeah, that was actually something that it touched me when I saw that when I first saw it too. Is the person cleaning the barn? It was really special.
Well, he's a great friend, and it's yeah, I love that shot, and it's beautiful because it's Patty and Bruce sitting together, and so much of the film is about their love and their relationship, and it was great to just end it on a single shot, and it's the end of the party. You know, you have to look at it, the storytelling of
Right.
it. It's the end of the party, and there's going to be someone who's going to come in and clean up, and that was a great friend Ray, and he just gave it that closing feeling. Sometimes you look at moments and you remember them and you hold on to them for years. And there was a moment that I watched someone once clean up at the end of an event, and it stays with you, and then you just kind of bring those images to life when you start to shoot.
Mhm.
And yeah, I have a notebook of things.
Mhm.
I saw Ricky last night, a matter of fact, at Ron Aiello's opening of his art exhibit. And
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
I went there. I'm in LA, but I went in advance. Ron
Oh.
is an amazing painter. It's
Yeah.
just I'm blown away by his work.
Yeah.
And Yellow I can talk a lot about him because he brings so much soul to the films. And if I didn't have Ron, like especially Western stars, but Letter to You and his score in Letter to You, recently Road Diary, he complements things so much, and brings the emotions out. But he's also just an amazing painter. I've been watching his work grow for years, and I'm thrilled that he's got it. I'm gonna make a short film with his paintings that I'll have out soon.
Oh, nice.
But you should check out the exhibit because he's got a great eye for composition, color, humor, and he's just such an artist. I really I look forward to. I did a film interview with him last week and went around the gallery. So I'll have something coming out.
He was on the show. He was on the show right before you. He was on the so
Oh,
we
yeah.
had him right before you came on.
Oh,
It
great,
was so fun.
great.
It was so fun for him to, yeah, we talked about the music, but like he was so excited about his art and getting it out there and having the gallery and everything. It was fun to see that side of him. You know, he was able to be off in his own world outside of the studio.
Yeah, he's helped me on a lot of films, and talk about watching someone work. Ron will. I'll be talking about something, and Ron will jump up in the studio and start playing the piano and goes, "Well, I think it's like this," and he's just going. And then all of a sudden he's like, "Yeah, let's lay that down. Okay, okay. I'm going to do some drums." And before you know it, it's built track in 38 seconds. And of course, it's amazing. It's just music is pouring out of him, and he's just so incredible that way. And I think really essential to the sonic qualities of E Street and these films, especially.
Tom, can we go back a little bit and for you to get into like how it is that you came into Bruce's world and
Sure,
that genesis?
sure. There's a tour director, Chris Hilson, who nightly is the editor and director of the screens that we watch at Bruce's shows. And I got a call to work with him on Live in New York. I think George Travis is the one who recommended me, and I worked with Chris Hilson, and I was told I just went to the garden shows, went by myself, and got some really bad tickets. Saw those amazing shows at the Fan, and 2 days later, I got a call and said, "There's Springsteen concert," and I said I was there. And they said, "Well, it's going to be a week's worth of work," and I ended up working that week and then another 9 months, and that was
It was just the
And in-
20th year anniversary of that. 26.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for that time, and that was the start of my journey of understanding a little bit of the Bruce world, but also getting in a space to be able to collaborate with John and Bruce, and also watching them in a room explore how to tell this story of Live in New York. And I had this, one of my favorite moments was cutting with John in the room, is sitting there, and I was building Live in the New York's 10th Avenue freeze out.
Mm.
I was so caught up in the performance and that whole thing of Clarence going back and forth, and how it cut that, and it was a magical moment because I was really feeling the trust of both of them, and also it was the very first thing I cut was 41 Shots,
Mm.
and that was an amazing song
Mm-hmm.
to take on as your first song. And I remember using the version where he quieted the audience, and it was really a powerful moment. And I remember thinking that I'm going to pay close attention to the words and the lyrics. And I had done some music videos, but I remember thinking the dialogue, these songs, the words themselves are really important. Besides tempos and showing things, like getting across this face and the words. And Live in New York was the beginning. That was the start. And from there, I went to a couple months later, I think I went to Born to Run. It's at, yeah.
I'm sorry. When did you work on The Wire? That was before that? Before you worked with Bruce or during?
I worked on The Wire right after Live in New York.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that I worked on The Wire, and I was in Baltimore, I was on location, and I got a call from Bruce he said he had seen some black and white video of a concert in Hammersmith, and that I should call Sony and have the vault deliver the footage to check out what's there. And I was working on Wire full time, and I realized need to get this footage transferred. And what I ended up doing was building my own edit room before things were real portable in Baltimore. Would work all day long on The Wire till 10, 11 o'clock at night, and then work all night long on Hammersmith, syncing it up by eye. So there was days that Clarence was on set,
Yeah.
and I would see Clarence, and I didn't really know him that much at that point. I just had worked on Live in New York, and I'd be on set, and there was Clarence, and 5 hours later, I'd be at home and I'd be syncing up Hammersmith.
That's
So I
great.
cut Hammersmith next, and that was part of that journey. I think that was before Born Run came out. No, it came out with the box set at the same time, before I directed it. So it was a great thing because, again, I had to look at the songs, and I could figure out musically what was going on, and through looking at the lip sync and figuring out, okay, this looks like Saint in the City because they're doing a guitar solo right here, and the drums going really fast. It's got, because I had the set list obviously, but that was the beginning. And there's one reel that was bootlegged that had missing negative, and I remember certain fans were upset that I didn't use these shots that were in the bootleg, and it was like, it doesn't exist. It's gone. That's part of the problem with that. But it great film, and experience, and Hammersmith was explosive. Bob Clearmountain's mix on all these things just takes the film to a whole other level.
Watching it, it was like, the story that Dave tells and everything. It was like he hated it so much and they thought he were awful. You watch that documentary, they are so incredibly tight. It's unreal, and it's like what blew my mind was in his memory, it was terrible. It was a terrible show. But 25, 30 years later, you watch it, and it's just an incredible performance. There's no question about it.
It's incredible, and the talent that they have at that point is just stunning, and it's filmed beautiful. It's filmed in 16 millimeter film, the tracking shots, and it's filmed with the original concert lighting. No one was adapted for it to be the stage show lighting is what it was captured. So there's this great quality of like him bathed in blue with Mark Brickman, and it doesn't have, it's not in HD. It has the imperfections of grain, and the lighting can sometimes be dark, but it takes you in a space of memory that I think is really important.
Tom, we want to be cognizant of your time. So I want to kind of get my last segment out here. Sorry to keep going back to this, but I'm a huge Elvis fan. Like Bruce is my guy, but Elvis is like up here on a different level. So regarding your film, I guess I have a question and then a statement. Question is, nobody that's interviewed, and kudos to you or whoever's decision it was to get Red West involved in there, because, for those of you in the Elvis world, Red was kind of a black sheep after the book came out. But the fact that he was there from day one. He saved Elvis from getting his ass kicked in the bathroom in Hume's high school. So he was there with him from day one for 20 years. So the fact you got Red on tape, just to document it, if nothing else, was fantastic. But you never see anybody on the screen because you want to keep the continuity of the film. But basically, Thom, Bruce, Emmylou, and Robbie were kind of the four living artists that were interviewed for it. Thom had a lot of great comments and commentary and color commentary on it. Bruce as well. There was one comment that Bruce made, and I was like, I think he's talking about himself. Bruce said, when Elvis was on stage, that was the real person. When he's off stage, he's putting on an act. And I'm like, I don't think he's talking about Elvis, but I think he might be talking about somebody else. So I guess a question was, who chose? Was that your decision on the artist that you chose to be interviewed?
Yeah, I had a great producer on that, Carrie Ann Thallis from HBO, but also an amazing producer by the name John Landau, and John was part of that. And I would have conversations with them about this idea of, I don't want anyone who likes Elvis. I want someone's voice carries that Elvis changed their life. You have to hear that in their voice. That's why I chased Robbie Robertson. That's why I chased Tom Petty. Mark Cimino at Universal Music, a very good friend, and in the Bruce world, got me together with Thom. And I sat there and I built the film a lot. And I finally got to Thom's house in Boo and sat with him for an afternoon and recorded him. And it was so in sync with what I had built. I remember saying at the end of that interview, God, it's almost like you watched the film before the interview. You covered so much of the details. When he goes to the space of talking about Elvis and the power of Elvis' image on the 16 millimeter kinescope, I had already built a whole sequence about that. I had these ideas that I want. Tom Petty was such an important voice for that Elvis story, and he was so gracious in the time that he gave me. And really, again, Bruce too took it to a whole other level, and sat with me for a while, and we went through that story, and he brought up so many great memories of watching the '68 special. And a big part of my journey with The Searcher came from the trust of having Jerry Schilling and Priscilla Presley help me tell that story, and giving me access and the trust that you need to tell a story about Elvis that's much different than cartoon version of Elvis. I had nothing of a reference to Memphis Mafia or Elvis in a suit or things that he gave away. I had no interest in that. It was about the music. And that came from my love of the music, and also came from, John Landau. Early on, we talked about Elvis in a way that was like, what do you care about with Elvis? I love this. I love this. Have you ever noticed that this has never been said? his part of the gospel is not really explained. There's two kinds of different gospels that he's doing. He's doing, a Southern gospel, but he's also doing a Black traditional South gospel. Let's explore it. So it was, again, one of those deep dives. And I had amazing editors on there, and we worked around the clock. We just worked so hard. There was
my follow-up to that is just knowing Elvis, he was on his own. Like, he did it on his own, truly. He walked in that studio, it was all him. He picked the songs, he did the arrangements, he did everything. His business manager was his dad, who barely passed 8th grade. He didn't have any collaborators. He didn't have any compatriots that he could lean on. He truly did it himself. The shocking thing to me is not that he died so early, it's the fact that he didn't die earlier with everything, the stress that he was under. I think, and Bruce has talked about this, Bruce has had those collaborators that Elvis did not have, with John, with Steve, with Mike, with Ron, and with you. So as a fan, thank you for your part in being one of those collaborators and doing the excellent work that you do. Truly, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I really enjoyed this, and hope to see you at the museum.
Yeah.
Let's check it out.
Yeah.
Be around. I hope you have some screenings down there too.
Yeah. Real quick for me, my final thing for me, Thom, is you said you started with Live in New York City, and now 26 years later, all these projects you've done are so appreciated by the Bruce fans. We eat up every one. Someone made a comment, maybe we'll have a Land of Hope and Dreams tour documentary or something. And my last question is, the end of the movie they show at the Springsteen Center is Sweet Soul Music from the Tunnel of Love tour. The decision to put that in, and the crowd eats that up. No one leaves as the credits are going. Oh, they'll love it. So
it was something that I've had for years. I have many different versions of it. I love the song so much because it does show everything with Bruce's love of American music, and I also love this version because he gives a shout out to John. You just see the joy of the man. It's a great moment. So yeah, no, it's and I mixed it at Skywalker and with Gary Rizzo. And I remember we were playing it in the theater and we just cranked it. And I wanted you to leave with that powerful version and also message of American music and honoring those icons of both soul, R&B, and getting a sense of how it all ties together to Bruce Springsteen's music. So thank you guys. I enjoyed it. It's been great.
Jules, you have anything?
All right.
I mean, like, I don't have the recall that you guys have at this point, but hi, Thom.
I feel bad. We didn't get hi, and I apologize. I've been trying to say hi for the last 30 minutes. So,
so my question.
Do you have anything? Go ahead.
My questions are always more on the personal end. Like, was there anything that you guys didn't agree on? Was there something that Bruce wanted to do that you didn't think was a good idea, or John, or anything like that?
I think in the space of making anything artistic, you have these moments where I remember Live in New York, there was a moment that we were looking at the HD and there was discussions on that. And at the time, that was a moment where everyone was really into the HD look, being very, very sharp. But Bruce had a certain feeling and John had a certain feeling and I had a certain, they were all different. Is that a disagreement? I don't think it was a disagreement. I think it's the creative process, because what happened was we ended up, because it's the early days of HD, I ended up putting some film grain in there to soften it, but also to take away some of the clarity because it was going against the music. It was taking you out of the music. You were thinking of the guy wearing the t-shirt. So that's an example of what I would say is not a disagreement, but it's the creative process where you find something. And sometimes it'll happen in an edit where it's like, this could be longer and, you extend it. And sometimes it's pure magic and it works. And other times it's like everyone gets around and discusses it and says, we can get into the space discussing 15 frames. Like the details matter. and they are looked at closely. I don't think it's disagreements. I think it's, for me, I don't even think about it. I think it's part of
Yeah,
making a film.
I would agree with that too. I was just wondering if there was anything that stuck out that, there was like a point where, you just didn't jive, you didn't vibe together.
Not by memory with Bruce's films.
That's amazing.
Yeah, well, you're on a journey together. It's like you're not gonna you get in a certain headspace with these films. If you're making a film about Western stars and you're listening to it and you listen to the record, you prepare for the shoot, you step into a headspace that encompasses the values and the tone of the characters in the film. So you stay in that world for 8 months, 9 months. And that means that a lot of your decisions come to that place. I wasn't going to suddenly go to a black and white sequence in Western stars. I was thinking about the hot desert sun because Bruce, Ron, and Yellow produced that feeling in the soundtrack of those songs. I was going to look at 50s films that were Westerns and the saturated colors and look at the barn and say, okay, let's add more red here and add this. I was going to chase the sonic direction that's in the music. So you end up being in a space of like a disagreement if you step into the music. I think.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, one last time that I want to thank you, Thom, for doing this, doing the show with us. You are incredible, not just a director, you're an incredible person. Okay. And I appreciate you always being so engaging and accommodating. I after listening to you, I always the first thing that came into my mind is you're almost like the fifth Beatle of East Street because you feel like, I feel like because you represent Bruce and obviously who's, our group circulates around and the band and whatnot, you bring it to us in a way that we can't see it the way they see it, but you do it such in a wonderful manner and in a beautiful way. And I just want to thank you for doing this. And I know I'm speaking for everyone and, I'm looking at the comments and they're all flying. And I just want to thank you for doing this with us.
Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you at the museum.
Thanks, Thom.
Thank
Be
you,
well.
Thom. Thank you.
Be well,
Take care.
Thom.
All right. Excellent.
Very, very nice.
What a
Wow,
nice
beautiful.
guy.
I got fireworks to go see out on my porch from Bradley Beach.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
So, all right.
Enjoy,
That was
Sam.
good. Got a lot of good stuff. We could have gone on for another hour or two, but you could see at the end he had to be somewhere. So
we knew that he had to be somewhere.
Yeah,
so I wanted to make sure we got him when he needed to go.
Yeah.
But it was really a beautiful. I enjoyed this. I love watching. I love listening to the background and the process, and it was really, really inspiring. Go watch your fireworks.
And the movie again is at the Springsteen Center. I don't know if there's anywhere else you can see it yet. It's the 25-minute introductory movie that Thom put together, which is absolutely, I've seen it like 6 times already because I've been volunteering. And I still pick up new stuff every time I see it.
Wow.
So.
It's so well done.
Is there an official title on it?
Yeah, it's I should know this from my intros.
Ties That Bind?
Ties That Bind, Bruce Springsteen's American Music Journey. That's the name of it. The Ties That Bind, Bruce Springsteen's American Music
I
Journey.
wanted to ask you again real quick. I haven't been back since the Serenade, but did they get the interactive stuff in there with
Oh,
the
yeah.
drum? Yeah, so you could play drums to Born in USA.
Yeah,
and all
that room where they do his lyrics is real cool, and his writing room is real cool. And I don't know if you saw the concert room where I was talking about.
Yeah, I saw the concert, but I don't think they had the footage there yet.
Yeah,
So
they have 10 clips. Some of them we've seen, but what got me is I always love stuff seeing I've never seen before. A Hungry Heart from 1985, the Born in USA tour. 1974 black and white footage of him doing Jungle Land from the Schaefer Music Festival, which is in Central Park.
Oh
That's the
my
show
God.
he opened for Anne Murray.
Wow.
Wow.
They wanted him, and there's no sax solo. He does a guitar solo
Wow.
in Jungle Land.
Like Jake Thistle.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what I love. I mean, some of the footage we've seen before, which is still nice, but to see this rare stuff that they're finally letting us observe is just
Beautiful.
fantastic.
I can't.
That's fantastic. I want to, yeah, I
Yeah.
want to go do the interactive stuff.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
interactive stuff. Come on down. I mean, they have the time entry, but anyone can walk in now. It hasn't been. It's been busy, but they don't turn anyone away. So
Oh, really?
yeah, yeah.
Good to know.
So
Very good to know.
yeah, come on down. It's great. I volunteer. I'll be there tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So
All right. If it rains on Sunday,
come on by.
maybe
Yep.
we'll pop in.
All right. All right.
Sam.
Good
We'll see
night.
you.
Thanks. Bye.
Take
Bye,
it easy.
guys.
Bye.
Really sorry. You kind of snuck in there, and
Sorry.
I didn't
It
want
was.
to. He was like right in the
I
middle of
know.
something. I didn't want to like cut him off.
I know. I was having all kinds of technical issues, and then I said, "Fuck it, I'm just going to do it on my phone." And then my phone was running out of battery, and you know what I mean. It was like all over the place. But thank you for letting me in.
Yeah, maybe in season 3 we can get our own studio or something.
Howie, what did you have to do? Did you have to switch to your phone? Is that what you were doing?
Yeah, I switched to my phone. It's really terrible here, and I don't know why. And it's not even a bad night weather-wise. I just don't have the answer. But I'm gonna start looking into it over the weekend and trying to figure this out because this ain't gonna work. So, but thanks for putting up with us with the
No, you're
technical.
good.
For real.
So, Julie, how was seeing Brian Fallon at the Pony?
The best.
My God.
It was the best.
Oh my God. And I was such a fangirl. Like I couldn't even handle it. We actually got so lucky and we ended up being, in the green room with
wow.
him and all of his people and everything. And his son was in there and I was so fangirling. His son was like making fun of me. He was like, who's this weirdo?
And I
Like-
and I told
Like, oh my God, we're in the same room as him. Oh my God, we're gonna get to maybe say hello to him. Like, and his son was like,
who are you and why are you here? That's
Who let
basically what he
you
said. It kid's like 10, and he's like, "Why are you here?" It's like, okay. So we got we spoke to Brian a little bit, and then I pitched the show to him too. I said, "Listen, Brian, we'd love to have you on the show." He okayed me, in the moment, So, but I know if she was fangirling there, she'd be when if we would have him on the cafe. You may want to hit that mute button.
The music
That
was
would-
insane, though. It was just so good when Gaslight Anthem also showed up at the end. It was like mind blowing.
Yeah, it was like the E Street Band walking on
Yeah.
on a solo Bruce show. It was like because he didn't announce it, and you see the set list from the side, and he finished the last song, and then he goes into another song by himself, and like, oh wow, he's doing a song by himself, and then all of a sudden from the side, Gaslight comes up on the stage while he's playing the song, and the place I've been to the Pony a billion times. Okay, it was deafening in there when they came on because it was all Gaslight fans, so it was packed, and to see when they came on,
And then Brian starts messing with them. He's like, "Oh, you guys like this song, huh? Well, you really like this song." Like,
it
joking
was
around, and it was just so good.
it was a great
So I don't
show.
know them well enough, so they don't tour or play together anymore. Is that it?
No, they do.
They do.
Oh, okay,
And
but he
he-
does his own thing, and then he bounces
Yeah,
around.
he was doing his solo stuff with a different band called the Painkillers, and they just like how he said, he started playing by himself at the end, and the Painkillers had already left, and then as the song starts to build, and all of a sudden the musicians that walked back on stage was not the Painkillers, it was Gaslight Anthem. It was
Wow.
Yeah, as a really big fan, it was one of those like I was there nights.
Right,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? It was
Yeah.
great. It was just
And they played four of their hits, like so, and it
blew
was
the
like
roof off.
it was deafening. It was deafening. I mean, it was really something special. If you're a fan of Brian Fallon or Gaslight to be there,
I couldn't
it's
stop
almost it's just short of Bruce showing up.
Right. Right.
Which we thought he would, but that's not why we went. We happen to be.
Duly
We
noted.
actually are very, very, very big. They're number two for us right now. So, well, for me at least, and no con for Jules, I guess, right now.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you guys got to enjoy that.
Yeah.
Thank you. You should check them out more. They're great.
I will. All right. Anything else going on, Howie, spring nut wise, that we need to?
Spring nut wise, not really. We just, I guess, on the cafe, we have some, great guests coming up, that once we have nailed down, and dates, we'll announce. But
And we've
yeah,
got lots of inventory of shirts if anybody wants to buy some out of our living room.
just stop by.
Howie, we never talked about this. So did you have some of those hats made up? Like, what is the deal
I
with the
did,
hat?
yeah. I mean, I'm a baseball cap guy, so I
Okay.
did it for myself in the beginning, and then people liked them. But not everybody, I can always do them again. It's the standard. But I supposed to give you one, wasn't I?
We talked about it a few months ago 'cause I was like, "Where's my hat? I love hats. Where's my
Oh
hat?"
my God, why did I? You
Oh,
should. I wish you reminded me. I would have. I
Dude, you had
forgot.
1,000 things going on that weekend. I
No,
wasn't
I
gonna
know,
call you
but I
up on
would
a
have
hat.
brought it.
you're gonna
Anything that
forgive
could leave
me.
this house is going to be. You're doing us a
Well, if you have
favor.
any
So
extra hats,
I
let
do.
me know.
I actually put one on the side for you. So I just forgot to bring it.
Yeah, he'll mail it on Monday.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys have a good, what is today? Thursday the 2nd. We
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
the 4th is on Saturday. Did you guys have tickets? No, you couldn't
Nah,
have
we weren't.
gone.
We don't go on
You
Friday,
can't.
so
So you can't. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. I lost track
that's
of what
okay.
day it
Don't be
was.
sorry. It's fine. Good. It's all
So
good.
unfortunately, it got pushed back to 2 Fridays out, so
I
I
know.
couldn't
Yeah,
go
well,
with
we
you
knew it was going to
guys.
be another Friday, so it didn't matter to
I was
us.
like, oh man, maybe they'll change it and we'll be able to go.
I
Denied.
wonder why is there a reason why it's Friday nights and not like Saturday or Sunday?
I don't know.
No, I have no
That's
idea. I
it.
guess. Listen, there's a
Stevie
lot
doesn't
of
want to
people
be
that got to
busy on
put
Saturday.
together.
All
There's a
right.
lot of
Well,
people that they got to put on. They had like now, like Loka Connie can't do the second show. He's gonna have, so they have Joe Gashecki, Jay Clemens, Gary Bonds.
Yeah, it's a lot
I
of
did,
schedules.
yeah, a lot of schedules.
somebody said Adam was going to play at the Vogel because it's like
Yeah,
his
true. Yeah,
album coming. So he's playing at the Vogel tomorrow, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah.
All right. Well, you guys have a good night. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Just for the people at home, if you think we're having an earthquake, we're not. Just Julie's exercising as she has the phone in her hand. So you
Sorry.
don't adjust, don't worry about it. We're not having an earthquake in Mount Kisco.
I forgot we were still on the air, to be quite frank. And on that note, signing
On
off.
that note, have a good night.
Don't believe the suicide note.
Howie. Howie.
All right. Good night,
All
guys.
right. Have a
Night.
good night. Oh. Well, fantastic interview with Thom. He's a fascinating guy. We didn't really get into I wanted to find out why he loves cinema so much. Did his parents love cinema? Did they take him to the movie all the time? Did he develop it on his own? Did he have friends? Why did he get into cinema so much? I had 1,000 other questions for him, but he is a busy man. He was very generous with his time, so we'll take what we can get. Thank you, Mr. Zimny. Alrighty, everybody. Have a good weekend. Happy 4th of July. Be well, be safe. Don't blow off any fingers. Mr. Altieri. So many yet. Yep. Sharon J. Carol. David Hammer. So many questions yet answered. Dave, we need to have him back on for round 2, 3, 4, and 5. We could spend a whole episode on one project at a time. Okay, let's talk about Live in New York. Let's talk about Wings for Wheels. Let's talk about Hammersmith. Let's talk about The Promise. We didn't even touch The Promise. The Promise is probably my favorite documentary of the set that he's done. Let's talk about Ties That Bind. Let's talk about this, that, and the other. Too many questions. Too many questions, too little time. Until next time. Oh. Sharon, that would be. John is very articulate, very intelligent. We could probably ask him one question and he'd be talking for a half an hour and be very eloquent about it. That would be fantastic. We'd have to have like 10 parts. Okay, week number 9 with Mr. Landau. Mr. Landau, as Bruce says. Yeah, we'd barely even talked about anything else. Like for those of you that don't know, Thom has made great documentaries about Johnny Cash, Elvis, Willie Nelson, 4-part co-directed about Willie Nelson, the Beach Boys, Sly Stone, which I've not seen at all. And he's done other stuff. So, yes, very generous of him. He did not need to do this. Howie saw him at the sneak peek at the museum and asked him, and he said yes. So he obviously had plans, but he gave us his time. Dave, no comment. John has been very nice. I met him one time. I actually went to the opening screening of Elvis The Searcher in New York. John was there. Thom was there. Somebody I know interviewed John about Elvis, and John was very kind and decent and nice to me. So, good guy. All right, I'm out of here. Everybody have a good night. Happy 4th of July. Be well, be safe. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time. Adios, muchachos.